What's going on, guys? It's Matt from Adventures and I'm here at Alternative Technologies, a local renewable energy company, because we are going to kit Lilly out with a full solar system. That means we're going to have power off the grid no matter where we are in any situation. We're going to be able to charge our phones, our laptops, and power all the lights and other electronic gadgets we're going to have installed. That is something that is really important, especially for a camper conversion, and it means that we won't have to have the engine running all the time to keep things powered. It's going to save us a lot of money on fuel, and it's going to be very good for the planet. We know Lilly isn't the cleanest vehicle, but at least we're going to be doing our bit to be a little bit more sustainable. So the setup we've decided to go with is a 170 watt flexible Sunpower panel, and that's meant to be one of the best brands in the business, and that's going to go right over the roof rack. Then with that, we're going to pair a 10 amp charge controller and a 500 watt inverter. That means we're going to have all types of power, AC and DC. Then we've also got an old car battery. I know that's not the most ideal thing, but for now it's going to work until we can get the full gel battery set up. We're going to put it right in there in that little hole underneath the bed. Everything's going to be insulated and tucked away just so it's nice and neat, and we don't have to stay worrying about it. We're going to have a proper AC wall socket coming out of the inverter. There's so much good stuff, and the panels that are 170 watt, they're also very okay with partial shade and all that stuff. So no matter where we are, we really should have a constant good power delivery. So the idea is basically that we're going to have the panel on the roof rack. It's going to have a generally fixed mounting position, but we will be able to move it if needs be. So obviously we're not going to lose that space on the roof rack permanently. We will be able to just like put it above things or move it forward and backwards. And that's why we chose it. It's also obviously fully waterproof, and it's much more resistant to, you know, obviously bending, flexing, and the stuff that's going to be subjected to on the really strong vibrations caused by Lilly. This is one of the useful things about having a Landy that already has holes. They actually get to use the holes that already exist without having to do anything new, and you know, they're going to seal it up as well while they're passing the wires through, so you know, it's an extra plus. As you can see back there, the guys are working on fitting the panel right into place on the roof rack. It actually fits perfectly. That means it's not going to move around or rattle. It should fit and stay right where it is. Of course, we are going to have that extra bit of wire. That means we can move it around if needs be and just make sure that it contours to whatever we decide to put on the roof rack. We've just passed the wires in through from the roof. They're going to connect directly the solar panel onto this charge controller. This is an 8 amp charge controller. Its job is to be the intermediary between the batteries and the panel to make sure that the battery gets the right amount of charge. It doesn't overcharge or undercharge, gets the right current going into it. It's basically a smart piece of kit that makes sure everything is safe and everything's charging at the maximum possible efficiency. This is the location we've selected for the charge controller. It's going to be as close as possible to that grommet where the wires are going up through the ceiling. And of course the wires are going to pass right down straight into the battery compartment over there. One more benefit of having this inverter, of course, is that you can first of all isolate it, switch it on and off by itself, so it's not constantly drawing any power. And we have the USB outputs and the plug. Now the solar panels are going to give us more than enough power to power anything we need through this. Obviously we're not going to be powering really high powered appliances, but something like charging a laptop or powering a mini fridge, something like that, should be totally fine. Okay guys, it's the moment of truth. Time to make sure everything is working. We have the panel wired up coming down through here into the charge controller. This is the plug, so let's make sure it works. Switch it on, and the light is on right there, so that means that's working. Both of them are working perfectly. Keep going down into the battery, and we're gonna follow it forward over here to the inverter. Now it's time for the real test. We've got a large cooler which we're gonna plug in directly to the inverter, and we're gonna make sure it runs. We're gonna plug this in, all good, and power the inverter on, and it looks like it's powered. How's this? And we've got a working cooler being powered. Oh, let's just chuck it inside. I don't have an AC.
If you're gonna be going to around Africa, this is gonna be good for you.
This is impressive. Yes. This is cooling really well, and it's
powered by the sun.
Okay. So if you want to think of the irony here, we've got the hot sun powering a pretty decent cooler. And it's all thanks to the solar panel we've just installed. Everything is passing through the Landy. I think we're gonna have a really good system no matter where we go. Well done guys, well done. And that's really it. It's as simple as that, changing the sun into usable electricity. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think this is a system that we should all have, especially if we like to go camping. And of course, check out these flexible solar panels by Sunpower, available at Alternative Technologies here in Malta. They have really helped me out with this project. There have been like a few complications, which is why the thing didn't happen so fast. This episode was meant to come out a while ago, but no matter what happened, they've always been ready to kind of adapt and make sure that we do get this done. And now today we can finally say that Lilly is partially solar powered. Alright, the sun is setting, and that is a fitting end to episode 16. As you can see, we have everything installed now with the solar. We obviously still need to wire up all the ancillaries and all the other devices, but the solar panel itself is running, taking all that power from the sun, passing it into the battery. With that, as you saw, we can power even big electronic devices like the cooler that we had. Maybe, who knows, we might have an air conditioner in Lilly sometime soon after all. Now, if you look up on the roof, I have just done a little bit of fixing things in place. It's a semi-permanent solution. I just got the panel here, cable tied everything, the cable management underneath. Now the next thing we need to do, of course, is to wire in all those auxiliary parts. We're gonna do a front light bar. We need to make sure the pump is wired up correctly, get everything back to 100% so we can go for an awesome camping trip. Hopefully that will be done in the beginning of 2021. So in January, we're looking forward to a really cool camping trip, and maybe even now with the solar power, we have that freedom to go overland, that freedom to do so much more. This is 170 watts of power coming from the sun, and that is more than enough for anything that we need. We're obviously not going to be powering ovens and fridges and all this stuff, just the basics to live a really nice, enjoyable life out wherever we go.